and welcome back to the Sassy Beans podcast. I'm your host, Tan. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Zara Afflick. She is a textiles designer and entrepreneur, and she's here to share with us today her mental health and well-being journey. Welcome, Zara.
Hello everyone, and nice to meet you, Tans. I'm so happy to be on the show today with you.
Oh, brilliant. It's amazing that you're here. So I wonder, Zara, can you start by telling myself and our guests what you brought to represent your mental health and well-being journey?
Yeah, I bought something tactile. I've actually bought my book. It's a notebook that I've had for many years now. I think roughly about 10 years. And it's a notebook in which I mainly write during my time within church services. I just kind of get enlightened by certain things, or thoughts come to me, I write them down. Certain things within the church or something that enlightens me, I'll just write it down, or things that I've noted when I'm at home. So I've got things that I've kind of, I don't know, like I've looked at and I've just meditated on, and I've seen that it helps me. So I think as a creative, I tend to my mind's everywhere, and it just needs to be grounded. And the way I ground myself as a creative, to write and to make my plans clear, and to make sure it's handwriting, not really actually text. So I know that I've put this in stone, really. So I've bought my tactile notebook today as an example of a reference to my mental health and how I deal with things.
And it sounds like you've had that for such a long time, so I'm just imagining this book. In fact, I wonder if you could just give us a mental image of what that book looks like.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. So this book is divided into somewhat sections, and I think it's like sections of my thinkings and thoughts. So at the back of my book, I've written down beautiful biblical names, and these are beautiful biblical names based on the names that I would love to call my future children.
Wow.
At the back of my book, it's like just something that I feel like I've put out there in the atmosphere that I'm going to have children. And then before that page, I've got songs. I've got songs in which they're already being written, that I actually wrote myself, some of them. And some of them are songs that just play within gospel songs, some tunes. So I put them at the back of the book. And in the middle, it's got like my daily devotions I have with myself, with God, and so forth. So I've put them in the middle. And some parts of it, just imagine within the midst of it, because it's literally open thought. I also have the food that I love and like making. So it's quite a lot of stuff, you know. The recipes that I love, my go-to things, and a lot of my health, basically. Yeah. So it's just like parts of me that just open thoughts. Let me see if I can, okay, so, sorry, I'm going to quickly see if I can share something with you. Yeah. Something that it's just something, so I write of things. This was one thing I wrote and something I shared with others, and it's like understanding the word. And when I say the words, for me, it's the word of God. And when I think about just the word of God, it's thinking about my own words and how to never make promises and unbreak them. So it just basically, I can read it out if that's okay. I don't know.
Yes, please do go for it.
Yeah, something I wrote within this, it says, your word sharper than any two-edged sword. Send me your word to speak to the lost. Send me your word. Send me your word to inspire the uninspired. Send me your word. Send me your word to calm the storm. Send me your word. Send me your word to cure the incurable illness. Send me your word. Send me your word to speak to the broken. Send me your word. Send me your word to walk in your purpose. Send me your word. Send me your word to walk in power. Send me your word. Send me your word of grace. send me your word. Send me your word to speak to nations. Send me your word. Send me your word to share the gospel of truth, the gospel of peace, the gospel of life, and the gospel of righteousness. Send me your word and I'll go. So that was one of my poems that I wrote. So these are the sort of things that I put within this kind of notebook. I've got a new one, but I thought I'd bring this one back. So this is the type of kind of poetry I get into, and things that empowers me to do better and to build in confidence. So I just write those thoughts down and kind of play it back when I need it to remind myself that I remember encouraging myself at a time where I felt like I'm not strong enough, I'm not weak enough. How can I be so inspired to help others at the same time as be aspirational? So yeah, that's it, types of thing. So that's my little, I don't know if you can actually see where this notebook going. It's like a notebook of juices.
I like that. And you know, it's so powerful, that poem. It was so beautiful to hear it, and just that repetitiveness and how much it means to you. That's what I could hear within that. So thank you for sharing that beautiful poem with us. And also that kind of image of your book, you know, talking from the back to in the middle, and how you've sort of separated it and how you go back to it for reference, which is also important, you know, when we talk about our mental health as a journey. It is just that. It's a process. So understanding that looking back is okay, because it allows you to see your growth to where you are now. Is there any sort of significant moments within your mental health and well-being journey that you celebrate? And if so, why? Why do you celebrate them?
I'm trying to think now. So yeah, I think I'm on a still process of this as well. So I actually celebrate the small things, very small. The things I celebrate is, like, for instance, the weather and things that, like, sometimes I walk in the, like yesterday I went to a place called Where, and I was walking in the fields, just to know that I'm living in a time like this. You know, there could have been places that I could have been, or like I won't have moments to really look at the sky, and it's such a beautiful scene. So for me, I celebrate the things that, I don't know, it's like mainly nature. I think I celebrate nature than rather than the things that are happening within my life as much, because that kind of reminds me that, and I'm still of purpose. So I think that it just brings everything together again. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like, so the celebration I have within myself is that, wow, I'm like, wow, this is such beautiful. This is so beautiful. Like, I literally walk and I'm like, oh, look at this plant. I gaze, and I love texture because of, you know, the creative side that I'm in, like, as a textiles designer. Yeah. I love looking at brickwork work. I like looking at designs and stuff like that. And throughout my journey, it's that celebration to know that I'm still alive to see these things.
Yeah.
And it makes me even more happy that I'm here and I can still be of purpose.
Yeah.
So that's the type of celebrational walk I have. But it doesn't mean that every day I'm that happy-go-lucky girl and I wake up and I'm like, wow, 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 wow. Yeah. No, the reverse of that. So even though, as I said, you wake up and you have this awe and this congratulations for just saying, yeah, I'm here and I'm present. There is that times where you not feel that way, and I think during those times that's when it gets hard and it gets challenging, especially when, for me as a textile designer, entrepreneur, in a kind of like a lonely journey. So the person that I'm arguing with, the person that I'm talking with to get like counselling or something, is mainly myself. Yeah. So most of the time, what it is that, yeah, I do congratulate, and I'm so happy that I'm alive, I can be here. But the other side too is like, you're going through journeys and you've made decisions for yourself, makes you kind of escape from kind of the communication with everyone else. I find myself sometimes in my studio from the morning to like dusk, like midnight. And I'm like, why am I here, Lord? I should be communicating with someone else or talking with someone else or having a wind down time. But you can't really have that wind down time when you are the boss, you are the secretary, you are the accountant, you know?
Yeah.
You know? So there's little bits like that. And then another is I'm gone on this kind of little smaller journey as well, is understanding women's health. And there's so much things that as I've grown up and getting older, it's understanding the hormones and understanding things that are going on with women that no one really talked about in school. So, you know, like they will tell you the main thing they thought was like a big core part of a woman's health, but they're not talking about things like thyroid problems or, you know, things that it does affect women in many ways. So that's a little other journey that I'm learning about and stuff I want to help in any way, women support groups or so on, because only until I've got into my 30s, that's when I'm knowing about what happens to your body, the what's it called, premenopausal. Talking about that.
Yeah, of course, and you're so right about that. What I'm hearing is that kind of lack of information, that lack of knowledge that isn't being passed down. So you're kind of going into something blindly and then you're finding out about it, but maybe not in the most supportive way, which if you were supported by being given that information and being prepared, then you would feel more prepared to deal with whatever life throws at you. So once again, thank you for sharing. I know you started by talking about what I interpret to be, and please correct me if I'm wrong, as just being grateful, that sort of gratitude, waking up each morning and just being grateful that you're alive, grateful that you can have the experiences that you're having, which is so powerful because that's operating in the here and now, which most of us find difficult. So to hear you say that that's what you do on a regular basis is just, it's just such a great way to start the day. But also you talked about the fact that, you know, it's not that this is your everyday, you're happy-go-lucky, but you're just grateful. So whatever comes, just knowing that you're grateful for life itself.
That's what it is. It's funny because you don't even need to position yourself in beautiful scenery to do this. Like literally you could be walking and meditating within yourself and saying, I'm grateful, and be positive, like positive affirmations. I'm successful, I can do this, like everything that can move you forward. So sometimes the moments, it's great to look around and look at scenery and so forth. But what actually makes it more exciting is the fact that you're able to speak to yourself. It's not being but to say like, speak to yourself, because they say it's so funny because you can sing to yourself and that's not classed as bad, but when you start speaking to yourself
but what you're saying is that kind of self-affirming kind of behavior. And to be honest, Zara, what you say to yourself is the thing that matters the most. So if you are speaking negative words into your life, then you're going to feel negative. And if somebody then says something negative to you, then they're confirming what you're already feeling and thinking about yourself. So by speaking words of wisdom or powerful words of affirmation into yourself, you know, I think that's a great way to build your confidence.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So you have to kind of go about your daily activities. Yes, once you understand the human race, whenever, you know, our feelings govern us quite a lot. So every day, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to feel happy. Within one day, you can feel 10 emotions, frustrated, anxiety, stress, and you can go back to good at the end of the day. So we have to, I think this, as you said, a self-affirmation technique, or I don't know if they say technique or so forth. It just encourages you to push through all those feelings and emotions of the day. So I think that's it as well. So it's not just what we see with our eyes, but it's what that kind of soulful time we're having with ourselves to remind ourselves who we are, to get our purpose and regain the true essence of who we are, you know. And it just brings us back to like our normality and calms down all the levels that make you go crazy. It's actually funny because I was thinking, sorry, it's just popped in my head. I was thinking about, there's a great animation to watch, I'm telling you, Inside Out.
I love that.
Inside Out, and I've watched Inside Out 1 and I've watched Inside Out 2. And I really do feel that that cartoon animation is just not for young people, but it's so for all of us. It's for adults as well, going through these daily feelings and emotions and letting things override you than ever. Like, for instance, well, sorry, I know that some people might not even be watching Inside Out 2, and if you're not
doing now, so please do share.
I'm going to share one moment from that bit. It was showing how things like anxiety and giving room and space for anxiety to take over your life. Not allowing parts of you to dwell in that space as well. And when I was watching it, and I was just thinking, because I actually shared one thing that the animator did was amazing. They actually showed an image of what happens when anxiety takes over and you get kind of an anxiety attack. That actually happened to me before. The sweating, nervous, the shaking, the heart palpitations, and I never understood what it was. But that cartoon actually shows how we give space and room for certain emotions to override us more than the others. And majority of the time, those emotions that override us more than the positive is mainly the pessimistic stuff. So if we're anxious, if we're not sure about something, we bring in anxiety straight away and we make it rule our lives. You know, we go to bed with it and not allowing room to think, oh, let me just have a bit of joy. I might be anxious about this, you know what? But I'm going to take 5 minutes of my day to go to my lovely cafe and order my favourite coffee. You know what I mean? So we have to remind ourselves that we are in control of ourselves. You know, we take precedent in everything. Don't let the emotions override us in any way. So when I was watching the scene when anxiety came in and anxiety took over, I forgot her name. But anyways, anxiety took over the main character and the way it evolved, it just reminded me never to allow your emotions to fulfill you in such a way. No, it's such a listen, guys, you have to watch it. Like, watch Inside Out 1, watch Inside Out 2.
I've had the pleasure of watching both of them, and that particular bit about anxiety was very, like you said, it was very poignant for someone who, like yourself, who have suffered from anxiety, and just noticing what happens when it gets to that extreme. And what you talked about, how you put it so beautifully, is saying allowing space and room for that to grow, because it is very much, we do have that control over what happens. So it could be changing the thought, you know, that then changes the feelings and then changes the behavior. But it's remembering that we do have control over that. And again, what you've said, well, what is it that you need to interrupt that feeling or that thought before it gets to that point? And you've talked about maybe taking that extra 5 minutes to get yourself your favorite coffee or watch a program, or, you know, just have these sort of tools that you can use, that it doesn't get to that extreme.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. And I think it's the distraction. It's like the distraction of the things. It's like, you know what? When we go through our struggles or go through our mountains, we can put everything into that mountain, forgetting about all the other parts of us. So it's a great thing. I don't know. It was a great analysts for me, and I had to write that note to remember. Yeah, that was perfect.
Oh, thank you. And, you know, again, it is one of those shows that speaks to everybody. And as we're talking about that, I have a question in terms of society, culture, and others' influence. How do they influence your mental health and well-being?
I don't think I struggled much with little bits like that. I think when I was younger, I tend to take on the words. So I feel like I'm a sponge. I'm still like an adult sponge. People just don't realise, but they realise now. I'm an adult sponge. So the words I used to take on when I was younger, I used to fill it up. So anybody will say anything, even if it's negative and so forth, or things that, oh gosh, you don't know this, oh gosh, I know it, that, whatever. It will get into me, but I will soak it up. And I will like slowly be squeezing out all the, I guess, the infirmities out of them, all the things that I'm not going to stick with, all the things I don't like. But I never did it in a negative way. Just because someone said something negative towards me doesn't mean that I cut them off or not a friend or whatever, anything. I will still be their pals and so forth. But I used to absorb all the silly words and everything, all the things that had affected me. But as I grew up, I was just like draining it out of my system. But as the person that I am now, I've realised that wasn't the right way to deal with it, because what I was doing was internalising everything and dealing with past hurt, past hurt, what someone have said or society has told me that I must fit into. For instance, in my university that I went to London College of Fashion, there wasn't much black creatives there. And I remember hearing my tutor say, well, to be honest, I think you can get to that path. And I said, why? Because most African Caribbean people don't get onto that program. And he said that with such great confidence then. But for me, because of the space I was, the years, how it was, like, that was about 15 years ago, I'm not understanding what he was really saying. So in my head I was like, oh, it's just not Afro-Caribbeans. No, it's not that. It's because they haven't made room for us for it, you know. That is because I never understood that.
Yeah.
Because back I think 15 years ago, how things were 15 years ago is not how things were now. Yeah. You know, we're very clued up about racism and so on, clued up and how to fight racism. So it's very different. Back then, about my colour or my creativity, so it's nothing, it just passes me.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was just taking anything like that, squeeze out, and as I'm getting older. But now I deal with it with straight kind of cut-offs. And I know some people say, oh, that's not nice or whatever, but when I feel like something and I can see it not now and for the long run, that it's not going to benefit my life, it's not going to increase in me the way I need to be increased, I have to cut it off. Yeah. So I can think about this as even social media. So, you know, the points where I remember back in the day when I was fully addicted to Facebook, like fully addicted to Facebook. Yeah. I was adding people, I was posting, I was adding people, liking, commenting, spent time. I remember getting into an altercation with people in the comment section. I'm thinking, I'm spending all this time, and I had to cut it off. Cut it off because it's not helping me, because you can become a social addict, like a social
media
addict. So you're on there 24/7, and you find yourself not living. So I've learned to cut things off, nip things in the bud quickly before it festers. So that's what I'm in now. I'm in this process. If it's not good for me, make it be gone, and it has to go. If it doesn't encourage me in any way, it has to go. So it's really different to how I was earlier on in my life, which I used to be holding things, and past traumas are just filtering out now.
Yeah.
But this new process is I'm telling you, it is the best one, because the reason why we're going through certain things and we're allowing things to override us is because we've opened a door for it. We made room for it.
Yeah.
It is that, because when I think about, I was even dealing with something with a friend, and I remember the friend has not ever asked me, how are you doing? You know, I kept on being that person. How are you keeping? It's not like I want somebody there every second asking me, how are you doing? How are you feeling? But I would want to know that you're engaged with me and you like to know with me. And I became a unpaid counsellor for her. Yeah. So, you know, you have to switch up the things and realise that that these things just need to cut off, basically. I don't know. Some other people will say no to this, but it works for me. It helps you grow.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. And, you know, again, you use that term of creating space. And so again, it's that choice. You decide what you create the space for, whether you allow and what you allow into that space. I just wonder, so if you could encourage others, what words, to kind of get to your point, what sort of words of encouragement would you offer to them?
I will say, right, so I will say, right, so one word, barrier. So say this word, because if you start in building a barrier, you'll be able to shield yourself from certain things that might come at you. So I'm trying to give an example of this. Just keeping I don't know, like, let me trying to think. For instance, if you've got fruits in a bowl and you want to preserve those fruits, right? And there's ways to preserve, you can put a net, like a net, it's a fly net thing. So if you put these fly net things, it will kind of preserve the fruit for longer. You've got to now imagine yourself being that fruit and preserving the main core of you. And to preserve the main core of you, you have to build a barrier and place in a barrier so you're not affected by the things that will make you like unpreservable. Yeah. But what was that will affect you. So you don't want those flies coming at you. You don't want those things coming at you that nick and bite at you. So I will say, number one, keep a barrier. So a barrier doesn't mean like say no to everything. It just means that if you feel like you cannot make it to that party because you know what, you're low in energy and you haven't eaten all day, say no. I just can't go. Do you need to explain yourself? Not all the time. You actually do not need to explain yourself all the time. And I think we live in a world where we want to show mercy to everyone. And the funny thing, most of the people that invite you, they don't feel a way about that. They just, okay, that's fine, you can't come. I was once that person, but, you know, that's what I'm saying. So, number one, keep the barrier. If you cannot attend things, do not make promises and you're not willing to fulfill these promises as well. That's part of the barrier. I will say another thing is to spend time outside.
Yeah.
Get outside. It's so important. Everybody knows. Doctors will tell you it's so important to breathe and to get oxygen. Don't keep yourself, inside for too long. Our body needs it. You need space. Have a little walk if you could. Even if it's 5 steps, do it. Take time outside and breathe. And to try and keep a positive mindset. I'm still going through this, but to keep a positive mindset and remember how far you've come from, even in a small and a great. Yeah. So, those are, I guess, the 3 things. I'm not too sure if you told me to say 3 things or to say one word.
It's whatever. I guess I just opened up the door and I sort of said, what advice would you give them? What words of encouragement? And so you've talked about barrier, you've talked about getting outside and
mindset.
And having a positive mindset. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, and having a positive mindset. And those 3 are key things because, you started by saying about barrier, it's saying no to the things that don't serve you and being okay with that and not needing to feel like you need to explain, because like you said, sometimes people are just so caught up with thinking about themselves. By you saying no, there's literally no hard feelings around that. And getting outside, I agree with that so much. We're all extensions of the outside, so really allowing ourselves to connect with that. And you talked about that sense of space, which is so important because most of us live within 4 walls and some of us not even that. So can you imagine? So getting out and not only allows you to connect with the outside world, it opens opportunities. So opening that front door in itself opens a lot of opportunities to improve your mental health, to meet others, to create those important connections, which is, again, so important. And the positive mindset, that starts with you. absolutely stuck with you. And that comes back to when you talked about expressing that gratitude for every day. Just no matter what's happening, just being grateful for the small things, because then that allows you to really accept and again make room for those bigger things to happen as well. And to see those opportunities. So thank you. There's such great words of encouragement. Have your thoughts and actions impacted your relationship with yourself and others, or are there any specific? So you talked a little bit about, before you were kind of the person who gave more, but now you realize, well, actually, I need to keep some reserves for yourself. So I wonder if there's any sort of, in terms of specific thoughts and actions, that's really impacted your relationship with yourself, whether that's positively or not so positively.
Yeah, there's definitely some. There's cases where I think I've, I don't know if it's a this year thing or last year thing, I've regained pride in myself, to know that, Zara, you've done this and you've done it all by yourself. Yeah. So, and then another thing, what I've done is kind of just making sure I put my first. I am definitely been doing a lot, breaking my back for many people. Not like I want them to do it back to me, by the way. It's just, that's the kind of, I don't know, something that's in me to do. It's always been there because I've got qualities to help in so many ways. I can bless someone with a cake. I can do things here. There's many talents. It's not just one aspect of me. So I end up fulfilling in these roles. I'm like, I see somebody needs help, or probably when they don't even need help. So I end up doing those things. Yeah. And then it did impacted me, because what will happen is, for instance, even last week, 2 weeks ago, I went to a wedding in Portugal, and I end up doing, I'm not a makeup artist, just put it out there, but I end up doing 3 people's makeup before I did my makeup.
Wow.
And that was a last minute decision because somebody had forgot to get the makeup artist for the mother-in-law. And I, because I know of the other things I do, they assumed I'm creative, I must know how to do makeup. And because it's not like I could have in that time, I could have definitely, my whole family was like, but why did you say yeah? So one, that wasn't a fault that you put on. And another 2, you've left yourself last. I ended up burning my dress for that wedding at the end because I had to rush to get myself sorted at the end. But it came with that actually helped me again to remind myself again, Zara, don't put yourself in situations which will leave you stranded. Because I was in a stranded position, and when I look around, and if somebody was to tell me, who can you ask to help you? I don't think I have not even one person at that point to ask to help me. So I feel like it's 2 things to it. So the positive change that I've put on myself that is really helping is reminding myself that I need to put myself first.
Yeah.
And another aspect to me is, before saying yes or no to someone's request to kind of use me, basically, is to hold out and to reevaluate every side of things before I say yes. So I'm one that someone will say something and I'll run to it and say yes without checking my diary, or I will do something and say yes without even thinking, no, I will say yes and forget that I've got 10 things in that day, and squeezing in that thing and making that thing, new requests, my first priority instead of all the things that I had placed on that day to do. So that's the negative side of things. I mean, the negative impact that's happened. However, what I'm combating it with is with giving it time. So making sure there's more time for my answers. So if somebody asks me for something or requests something, I will reply with, if you give me a moment, I will get back to you.
Yeah.
And I'm not so upset if I can't fulfill their needs, because I used to be upset because I couldn't help them out in any way. Even if I'm going to be left alone or whatever, I was so upset that I couldn't help. Yeah, so these are the changes. The changes has been that, just, giving it time. Another change is just putting myself first, making sure that I'm not left alone.
Yeah. And that's brilliant. That's absolutely a brilliant way. Like you said, there's a running theme here in terms of space, giving yourself that space to then recalculate and think, well, actually, is this something that I really can commit to? Because another thing you've also talked about is that not making promises and not able to keep them. So this really kind of aligns itself with what you value, which is keeping promises and also giving yourself that space and time, which is so important. So thank you for sharing that. I think we all can do more of that, myself included. So, and I guess the final kind of question I want to ask, and I also wonder if you can include a little bit about your business and what you do, is what are your plans for the future? Do you foresee any challenges or successes, and how do you plan on addressing or celebrating them?
Well, so this year I'm actually going back to university.
Wow.
This is going to be a big year. It's funny because it's been many years since I've left university, and to go back as a mature student, am I ready? No. No. But I'm so happy about that. And it's made me, I'm very positive on that aspect of things. And so that's my little congratulations for myself. Oh, and I just feel, I'm doing my teacher training. So I do teach with a certificate I have. Yeah. However, I want to move it forward, and the reason why I want to move it forward is my company is looking to be a educational institute. However, we do not have everyone at a fully qualified teacher level. So I thought, in order to be the educational institute, I have to set the example from the head up as a manager and get the teaching training, so all the staff moving forward can also jump on.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I'm excited because it actually will open room for us to not only just run after school clubs, but we'll be able to run midweek sessions within the school time. So we will be able to run our own little creative school and so on in the future. Hopefully, I will say near future, within the next 5 years, we will hopefully have our creative school running.
That's wonderful. And honestly, I just want to say that's fantastic, because we need more creative schools. We've identified that a lot more people and children, they learn creatively, they learn more creatively, and it's stepping outside of that, box way of thinking and really allowing space for them to expand. And not much work gets done. There's a lot more work that can happen beyond the desk.
Yeah, 100%.
I just think, fantastic. Well done. I look forward to hearing more about how that's coming along, and also your journey into, taking that next step to lead, to not just lead your company, but to lead a whole new industry and a whole new way of thinking.
Yeah, I think my mind's always, my mind's always going, new ideas, new things, but this one's going to be different. It's going to be quite deep.
That's a bit, I look forward to it. I love difference. I love, again, this is something I really appreciate as being a creative, where, like you said, your mind keeps going. You're in, you've got so many different skills that are transferable. I know you've gone from making cakes from textiles to making cakes to doing makeup, and it's just, the possibilities are endless when it comes to being creative.
I'm telling you.
Because
I need to write a book on it.
Oh, absolutely. I think that would be very inspiring for a lot of people, because a lot of people in society, not everybody, but a large proportion of people do live within limits. And as women of faith, we know that, everything is possible forgot everything. So it's realizing that, well, actually, you know, when you limit yourself, who is that for?
Exactly.
You know, we all have a purpose. So in order to find what that is, you really have to get out there and you have to take opportunities. You have to expand that way of thinking, and you've got to open that front door and step outside.
Yeah, that's what that's what I want to encourage people, because I'm telling you, there is so much more to do. Like, you know, I have nothing against anybody 9 to 5 at all. But when you're doing that 9 to 5, find that other side to you. Because you'd be shocked. Like, when I think about, I even, you know, like I also do beauty modeling as well.
Wow.
The way I got into the beauty modeling was, so it was something else. And it's funny because it was a time where I thought I was too old for doing anything. You know, like I don't know if anyone gets this, like you enter 30 and you actually feel like time to do anything is gone. Like, that's what happened. But during that time, in that season, that's when God was like, nah. The journey's just beginning, love.
Yeah.
And this can happen when you're 60, it can happen when you're 70, happen anytime. Once you're living, there's nothing that says no.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Absolutely. And it's reminding, thank you so much for that reminder that there's no age limit on finding that purpose. You just have to really believe in yourself, and you have to want it. You have to want that change. You have to want that other thing. So again, it all starts with you. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you here, and, you know, hearing your journey and where it's come from to where you are now, and also where you're going, which sounds absolutely amazing. We'd love to have you back.
Definitely.
Just in the future to give us an update about where you're at. I want to say thank you once again to our beautiful guest, Zara Afflick. And thank you once again to you, our listeners. You've been listening to the Sassy Beans podcast with your host, Tan. I look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Until then, take care and remember, your health and well-being matters.